Hello, and welcome to Team Ruby's presentation on competitive analysis. At this time, I'll provide a quick outline of what is embedded in this presentation. The introduction will provide a brief recap on topics already covered and begin the discussion on competitive analysis. We'll then look closely at distinctiveness and value propositions. After that, we'll highlight a company that exhibits the elements of our topic. Lastly, we'll summarize and conclude with a few takeaways. As a class, we have recently covered external and internal strategic analysis methods. External analysis studies how different firms strategically place themselves around and against one another within various industries. Internal analysis turns its attention to how an organization structures itself in order to deliver maximum value. It examines the resources, capabilities, core competencies which define the vision, mission, and objectives of the organization. We now will focus on the next method of analysis, competitive analysis. From a firm standpoint, we recognize competitive analysis as identifying your competitors and evaluating their strategies to determine their strengths and weaknesses relative to those of your own firm's product or service. A competitive analysis is a critical part of a company's marketing plan. In a marketing environment, a competitor's analysis is a crucial part of a small business's overall strategy and should include a thorough assessment of the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats of current and prospective competitors, as well as the political, economic, and technological influences that affect the way in which a business competes. Distinctiveness is loosely yet accurately defined as the ability for a firm to stand out in the marketplace. A firm must find or create product that customers want to buy. In order to do this, a company must understand the resource-based view model, their strengths, their competitively valuable resources, capabilities, and core competencies. For a firm to achieve distinctiveness, it should map out consumer needs and what its competitors are doing best against what the firm can do best. Take a look at this model and consider the definition of RBV. The resource-based view of competitive analysis ultimately views resources as a link to superior firm performance. If a resource exhibits attributes that are valuable, rare, costly to imitate, or organized to capture value, then a company has an opportunity for a competitive advantage. To help us better understand, let's review resource-based view terminology and their definitions. For alignment purposes, we'll use the definitions provided in this course material. We'll start by defining the word industry. This word is defined as groups of firms that sell similar products or services to similar groups of customers. Therefore, industry basic inputs would be defined as elements firms must have in order to participate in an industry. Strengths would be defined as what the firm is very good at. Competitively valuable resources is defined as pockets of excellence or building blocks of competitiveness. Capabilities would be defined as systems of activities designed to bring CVRs to the marketplace. And lastly, core competencies, the one or two capabilities that define the firm in the marketplace. Competitive valuable resources are known as CVRs. CVRs are the sources of competitive advantage. These are different than strengths because they are testable. CVRs must be valuable, rare, inimitatable, and have organization distinctiveness. Valuable refers to how much customers will pay for a product or service, and that is worth something in the marketplace. If a resource is rare, it means that it is not substitutable and that not all competitors have it. Inimitatable resources cannot be easily replicated and would be too costly for another organization to imitate. Organization essentially means that the firm is ready to capture the value that the attribute creates. The firm has the capital and the managerial skill to bring the resource to market. Now we will go into a little bit more detail about CVRs. Competitively valuable resources can come in three different forms: tangible, intangible, and organizational. An example of a tangible asset would be real estate or a factory. Disney World and all of its worldwide park locations is a great example of this. Intangible assets are a strong brand, patents, or copyrights. We see this resource more prevalent in gadget companies like Sharp, with the technology know-how to dominate an industry in LCD advances. Organizational resources are skills, competencies, or relationships. This resource is easily observed in Japanese automobile companies from production to manufacturing and the speed at which they can produce vehicles. CVRs differ from firm to firm, even within an industry. There is not just one way of doing business. CVRs are so embedded that they cannot be bought, sold, or extracted from the firm. They also evolve over time and may not always be available. If you recall, capabilities are systems of activities comprised of CVRs as well as basic inputs and strengths that result in performance enhancing outcomes. There is no right set of capabilities, but there are some capabilities that stand out as a common denominator among most successful firms. Those are listed to the right of your screen. Capabilities are created from the skills and knowledge of the firm's employees and functional expertise. Typically, a firm will choose 2 or 3 capabilities to perform well, which can come to define a company in its marketplace. This is also referred to as core competencies. Ultimately, firms evolve over time to the things that customers love best about them. The integrated strategy input is a part of the value proposition that gives an understanding about the way a customer would choose to patronize the business. The strategic input gives space for planning items such as inputs, outputs, outcomes, and feedback for all the process to work better for the business. Strategic planning gives a future outlook and allows you to identify what will be best in the 3 levels of intellectual, behavior, and procedural. To gauge the resources, plans, and people are working together across the division. The goal is for the businesses to use the given tools and techniques in a meaningful way. A firm's goal is more than just creating a beautiful strategic plan. It is the work and implementation of moving the business forward to success. Value propositions refer to a business or marketing statement that a company uses to summarize why a consumer should buy a product or use its service. The company uses this statement to convince a potential consumer how its product or service will add more value or better solve a problem than other similar offerings from competitors. 4 characteristics of value proposition are differentiation, fit, retain value, and creative destruction. Firms must differentiate themselves from competition selling the same product. For example, Five Guys is a fast food burger joint. They must differentiate themselves from Burger King in order to convince someone to pay a higher price for their burgers. They do so by promoting fresh ground beef, hot off the grill, and fresh cut home fries. A firm must achieve fit by aligning their decision and actions with their strategy. We will go over fit in more detail on a later slide. As the marketing changes, a firm must also change with it and continue to meet demands so that the firm remains relevant and retains values to customers. Creative destruction is a mechanism firms use to understand the market and know when to change how they operate so they do not leave the market too soon or stay too long and see the failure of their company. James Anderson and his colleagues classify value proposition into 3 types in their article, Customer Value Proposition in Business Markets. In the first type, with minimal client information, the value proposition is defined to address the needs of a specific market segment. The purpose of the statement is to get potential buyers to take action to learn more. In the second type, the company is trying to understand the type of people it is communicating with and trying to understand their needs, desires, motivations, expectations, goals, fears, skills, and biases. The third type is where the company goes deeper in trying to understand customers. It goes beyond the decision makers' titles and roles. It means knowing the customer's educational background, personal pursuits, association memberships, business goals, and how they are measured, the client's definition of success, and of course, the customer's pain points. Apple has used the shown three benefits to become the world's most valuable company. Apple believes in empathy. We truly understand the customer needs better than any other company. Focus. In order to do a good job of the things we decide to do, we must eliminate all of the unimportant opportunities. And lastly, impute. People do judge a book by its cover. If we have the best product, the highest quality, the most useful software, etc., if we present them in a slipshod manner, they will be perceived as slipshod. If we present them in a creative, professional manner, we will impute the desired qualities. Fit is generally described as a state of consistency among various elements of an organization. Of course, the nature of these elements can differ. Fit is the extent to which the activities of a single organization or of organizations working in partnership complement each other in such a way as to contribute to competitive advantage. The benefits of good strategic fit include cost reduction due to economies of scale and the transfer of knowledge and skills. Consequently, it is helpful to distinguish between two broad classes of fit: internal and external fit. Internal fit is the consistency among various elements under the control of an organization. Internal environmental factors are events that occur within an organization. Generally speaking, internal environmental factors are easier to control than external environmental factors. External fit is the appropriateness of an organization's chosen elements given the organization's environment. External environmental factors are events that take place outside of the organization and are harder to predict and control. External environmental factors can be more dangerous for an organization given the fact that they are unpredictable. We look to Southwest Airlines as a great example of strategy, value propositions, and CVRs. Southwest is a low-cost airline for consumers with a low-cost strategy structure. Southwest adheres to this low-cost strategy in every move it makes. We can clearly see the strong foundational elements that make Southwest's strategy ideal. These are focus, divergence, and a good tagline. Southwest focuses on three main values that are centered around its low-cost strategy. All energies are geared towards achieving frequent A to B departures, serviced with speed and friendliness. This simple strategy makes Southwest an option even over the alternative, driving a car, which should be the tagline of Southwest: the speed of a plane at the price of a car. Although that's not the actual tagline of Southwest, it's low fares, nothing to hide, that's transparency. But the point is that if a firm has a strong strategy and value propositions, then it becomes a force to be reckoned with. Southwest recently added a second tagline to its strategy: Heart sets us apart. Southwest is referring to its own inimitable CVRs and cultural values of fun, family, and compassion. To illustrate this tagline, Southwest even painted a heart on the bottom of all its planes, claiming that their planes' hearts make them more than machines. Many airlines have attempted to imitate Southwest's strategy, such as Continental or United, but none have been successful, showing us that Southwest has done it right and is here to stay as long as operations continue to flow accordingly. Here are some key takeaways from our presentation. Understand that distinctiveness is achieved through a firm's set of activities that becomes its competitive valuable resources and separates itself from direct competitors. A firm's business strategy is comprised of these CVRs, core capabilities, and value propositions. In the end, people do not see or care how companies are structured, but they do see and care about what firms are capable of doing. Thank you for your time.